Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today for Wednesday morning, October 20th, 2021. The man they call Meathead and the man that's called Matthew Thomas. He is not the lovely Linda Kay. He is the gentleman, Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
I'm the lovely gentleman, Matthew Thomas is what I am. Good morning, Meathead.
Hey, I didn't get the chance to talk to you since Thursday. How has your weekend been going?
Hey, it's been good, and I want to tell you,
Was it Thursday or Friday? I don't know. I'm medicated, so
you talked to me on Friday, and here's the latest update: is I'm now offering $300 in Thomas tender to anybody that can give me any leads regarding who commandeered my Facebook account.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Something about you joining the Taliban, issues with Crown Jewel, all sorts of stuff.
I don't know, but some very suspicious activities going on around me, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
I mean, we all know it's that you download porn on your phone. You're supposed to have a burner phone for that.
Oh, like one of those, what do they call them? The jitterbugs.
Yeah, it's a jitterbug. That's what it is. Folks, Matthew Thomas is going to tell you now about some of the latest and greatest in street fashion. Matthew?
Well, hey, if you got one of those jitterbugs that can actually access the internet, what you need to do is you need to enter the URL in your jitterbug browser, collarandelbowbrand.com, and see what they've got cooking for your fall lineup. They've got some new fall gear there that is all ready for you to put on. So head on over there, enter promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY, save 10%, and get you some new collar and elbow gear.
Fantastic. Hey, one quick brief news note. We've been talking ratings between AEW Rampage and WWE SmackDown from last Friday night. Matthew, how did you watch both of those shows?
2 days later.
2 days later. So did you,
yeah.
But I mean, did you mentally compare them to where they would be?
Yeah. And then I got really confused because it was, we had something on FS1, then we had YouTube, and then I had Dynamite, and then I thought I was done, but then I had Rampage, and I remember Dynamite was the next night. So yeah, I was very confused the whole time actually. But I started with SmackDown, and then did I finish that? Yeah, I guess I finished SmackDown in its entirety. And then watch Bayern and watch Rampage, and then let's see, I watched what did I watch after that? Dynamite.
Okay, your thoughts on the head-to-head between WWE, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks versus AEW Rampage, CM Punk and Matt Sydal?
Becky Lynch, Sasha. I mean, it was a pay-per-view quality main event. Punk and Sydal was what it needed to be. I mean, you put the two head to head, your SmackDown main event it's a marquee matchup, where as interesting as Punk and Sydal was, I don't think it's a marquee matchup. No. That being said, I liked AEW's presentation in Formula better because, what AEW does so well. And I think that this is, you were talking yesterday or day before last about how strong their, mid-card is, how strong the foundation is. If you watch any AEW program, whether it be Dynamite or whether it be Rampage, everything kind of has its unique lane. Lane. So you'll tease what's coming up and you'll tease what's down the road. Here's the WWE formula. Whatever's your main event, more often than not, you bring them out in the beginning, as was the case with Raw the other night. You cut to Charlotte and Bianca backstage. So what you continually do with your WWE product is you are, whether it's conscious, and I got to think it's conscious, you're telling them this is the top tier talent. We are going to feature them multiple times throughout the show. Everybody else that's not featured as often is the undercard, whereas an AEW show, you've got your undercards, you've got the top of the card, but what they do a great job of is really partitioning off time slots. So the stuff is not running throughout the show. Everything is there in its own place. And I think that's what helps so much with AEW's flow. And it also helps so much with the perception of, okay, yeah, they're fighting for this title or that title, but everything is along the same lines of importance, which you do not have that with WWE.
You know, the one thing AEW doesn't do, and I would be really shocked to see them do it, but I would love it because it's so not their weekly thing, is set up a match with an angle on the same night.
Yeah, you're
because
right.
any angles that set up matches go to the next section of TV.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have a opening interview segment on AEW, and you know what? We're going to wrestle tonight. You don't have that. What you have is somewhere mid of the card, and then, there's a beatdown or there's a, confrontation, and then I'll tell you what, we'll wrestle on Rampage.
Yeah, no, it's just it's two different companies with different formulas.
Okay. The reason I bring it up is Sugar Shane, the Hurricane, our friend Gregory Helms, Shane Helms, had mentioned that, there's a lot of talk WWE are freaking out over the ratings. I don't think they are. And that actually gets confirmed by our friend Shane Helms as well. He goes, dude, as somebody who's backstage there watching, I don't hear it. I haven't heard a single word of it. What we want and what Shane's saying they're doing is they're all staying in their lane. Now, Is he towing a company line or is he being truthful? Who knows? It doesn't matter. All we want the companies to do is toe their line, put on their product, and stay in their own lane, per se.
And here's where you can't really like the comparisons to the Monday Night Wars. It's not a situation now with either company where it's a story of either company being on the verge of going out of business. I mean, you've got two very financially stable companies there. And yeah, you want to win for a matter of pride. But at the end of the day, it's not the stories that you hear from that era where, those weekly ratings might very well mean the tail of the tape as to the future of the company.
Let's talk a little bit of NXT last night. Matthew, I got to be completely honest, and I'm going to bring up the positives while we go through it. But overall, on a whole, if we didn't do this particular show, that is not a show I'd be watching. It is not something that the fan that I am would be interested in. I've came to this realization, I told you this off here, I'm going to bring this back up again, that NXT to me looks like a bunch of mid-20 wannabes that want to be on reality TV shows like Below Deck Mediterranean or The Bachelor. That's all they look like. Oh, yeah, they're going to get physical and compete with each other, but they look like, who's the guy that LA Knight wrestled? Grayson Waller? Mm-hmm. He looks like a dude that's doing a side interview. They call him I don't know what they call them, the solo interviews or whatever. I'm waiting for him to show up on What Happens Live with Andy Cohen next, because that's what they look like to me.
I haven't really figured out what they're going for. I mean, it is a.
Oh, they're trying to reach that mid-20s demo. Is what they're trying for.
But is this? I mean, is this what people in their mid-20s are?
Dude, people in their mid-20s watch wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, is that what they want to see here? I mean, I don't know. It's just such a radically different product than NXT 1.0. And like we were kind of talking about off air, your Garganos and your Ciampas, man, who were the bread and butter and the foundation of NXT for so long, they just seem out of place here.
They seem fossiletic, like they're antiquated pieces of wrestling history. Speaking of Gargano, the show opens up with the new North American NXT champion, and that is Carmelo Hayes. He says he don't miss, but he gets interrupted by Mr. Wrestling, Mr. Johnny Gargano. The way he seems to have lost his way because Austin's on Raw, Dexter's married to Indy, Candice is at home with his baby. You know what? I think I need an NXT North American Championship match. You feeling us?
I enjoyed the closing part of this segment because it featured somebody that I'm quite fond of.
Oh, Dexter Lumis, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see Gargano taking it off of him. And again, you just kind of scratch your head as the fact that it's hard to really imagine Gargano and Ciampa and the likes, really coexisting. My goodness, what if Joe hadn't been injured? Could you imagine Joe in this?
No, Joe wouldn't fit. He would be the uncle of the show.
Yeah. Joe. Uncle Joe. Yeah.
Samoa.
No, I mean, I think it's going to be a good match, but it's just it's got just a really different vibe to it.
First match was Odyssey Jones and Andre Chase, and really it's just a showcasing of two of their newest talents. The winner, Odyssey Jones, and it was a good wrestling match. And that's one thing, folks, I want you to understand. We are not talking about the talents. We're not saying the talents are terrible at what they're doing. It's just the presenting of them, their presentation, their booking, their positioning that I'm just not feeling it.
Well, and I thought of something similar 2 nights ago. The main event on Monday Night Raw between Bianca and Charlotte was outstanding. And at that point, with all the AEW WWE comparisons, I'm watching that and I'm thinking, man, I mean, this is WWE has it's a collection of some of the most talented wrestlers in the world. And every now and then you are absolutely reminded of it and it's thrown there in your face like we saw Monday night. And then the match ends on a no decision. And
it's a throwaway match.
Right. And it's, again, nothing to do with the talent. It's the machine that the talent is in and, just the rut, for lack of a better word, that company gets stuck in.
The Creed brothers take on Imperium, the Diamond Mine. The Creed brothers, they got a good look. I really like them walking up with a nice, they almost look like America's Top Team technically, but better. I mean, honestly, I would take the Diamond Mine over America's Top Team.
Yeah. Or, best of both worlds. You just have Mr. Dan Lambert join the Diamond Mine.
Great. You can get off of AEW then. And you can send Malcolm Bivens over to AEW. I would like to see that trade. The fantasy season, there's a trade deadline too. Maybe there's a wrestling trade deadline.
Hey, man, stranger things have happened.
All right, Creed brothers and Imperium. Again, I didn't think there was any question that it was going to be Imperium because the Creed brothers still need some work. But you know what? It was still a good match. The video package of Kyle O'Reilly meeting up with Von Wagner. What are they doing?
I have no idea. And I'll tell you what. I don't know
that all this wood.
You look at where everybody's at right now with WWE and not with WWE. Well, I guess who else is even with? No. Anyway, I guess Roderick Strong, but like you look at who's kind of, been just kind of in limbo since that stable, just since everybody went in their own direction. And I don't think anybody has kind of been more up in the air than Kyle O'Reilly. I just don't feel like they can get a handle on who Kyle O'Reilly is a singles competitor supposed to be.
Shifted about 3 different times.
Well, you have the whole Cool Kyle deal, which kind of felt like a ripoff of Orange Cassidy. And then it's just going like the story they've been kind of trying to tell is he's really nonchalant, but then he gets like this kind of power up of intensity. And he was out in the woods last night, man. I'm not sure what's going on there.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did it really fall?
That's like the Tootsie Pop thing.
Something like that. Joe Gacy talking about the snowflakes. And then he's got Harland glaring at him back through the other side of the glass. I like it. I do enjoy this.
Yeah. And I get you were doing the Harland thing, so you kind of had to set that up. But I would more often than not like to see Joe Gacy and LA Knight are 2 people I would like to see live in ring more often.
Going on the microphone?
Week. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lecter Lopez and Cora Jade have a match. The winner of the match, Cora Jade. I still like Legado del Fantasma, but I feel like there's something missing there as well.
Yeah, it's just they don't get a ton of prominence. I mean, I know you had them in the main event last week, but I feel like that is a stable that suffers based on lack of focus on them on a continual basis. I think you position them towards the top each week, you can really get somewhere, but they seem to really be, hot and cold as far as how much they're featured.
Mackenzie Mitchell is back interviewing Ciampa and Braun Breaker. Boy, Matthew, Braun Breaker does the 21st century wrestling thing where, look, I see how this goes. We're going to be a tag match. You're going to say, I look out for you, look out for me. Then I'm not quite sure where this is going.
Yeah, I mean, it's formula, man. I mean, we've been seeing the last 2 weeks with Big E and Drew McIntyre, and it is, we've seen it I guess we've with SmackDown 2. It really feels lazy to me when WWE gets into a pay-per-view and you're seeing this across across all brands.
The NXT Women's Tag Team Champion Io Shirai versus Persia Pirota and JC Jane. And now the winner is going to get to spin the wheel and make the deal. They're going to get to pick the stipulation for Halloween Havoc next week. Io Shirai wins. She spins the wheel, and they're going to get the Scareway to Hell ladder match. That's cool. You know what I keep looking for in situations like this? Does the speed of the wheel change drastically?
Right.
That's what I'm looking for. You know, is it being worked?
I mean, it was clearly computerized from the start. I mean, there seemed to be no laws of physics that apply to that wheel.
Right. So that's the kind of thing I'm always looking for. Tony D'Angelo and Ru Feng is the match that's coming up next. But first, Matthew, you know, I'm especially with the surgery. You know, I'm very worried about infection, and I try to be very clean. The segment between Ikemen Hero interrupting Kushida, I've got a lot of problems with this. This was not right. One, Kushida's using the little boy's urinal. Did you notice that? He's using the mini urinal. Two, why did he jump when he didn't have it out and then he zipped up? Three, why is Hero sneaking into a urinal? Okay. 4, when he went to go touch Hero, he hadn't washed his hands. 5, why does he have a suitcase in the bathroom? Okay. 6, when it hit the floor where you know you got piss splatter, why did you put your clothes on? And why did they touching each other? There's so many problems here.
Favorite segment of the night by far. And you know how all of this would have been remedied if they had been urinating the way people are intended to urinate around a urinal trough.
This isn't Wrigley Field where everybody's got their dicks hanging out.
On a urinal trough, you don't have to worry about like anybody sneaking up on you because you've got a full 360-degree view of everybody. And you're good.
Good God, man. So, yeah, I had a problem with this whole thing. It was just bugging the shit out of me. And then they're touching each other at the end.
Oh, you know what? Next time you and I see each other, whenever that might be, we need to spend some time hanging out in the men's restroom. And
it's not going to happen.
Getting you a little more comfortable with the men's restroom.
And let me guess, you want to film it too, right? Which is also against the law.
I'll never be back on Facebook at the rate I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know that's actually a law that you can't have cameras in bathrooms? It's an invasion of privacy.
I mean, it makes sense.
But, dude, All right, Tony D'Angelo and Ru Feng, the winner, Tony D'Angelo, he cut a little interview that says, you know, Lash Legends producer Mark going missing. Do you know anything about that?
I can't say that it means a lot to me.
Well, at the end, it said, forget about it. Oh, boy. Hey, Matthew, your favorite segment of the night, from what you told me off air, is Duke's Poker Room with Duke Hudson. Go ahead.
You know, I had my hopes up when I saw this guy come out for the breakout tournament, being the future of professional wrestling. And maybe that, does happen. But my goodness, they're not off to a great start here. I mean, this guy seems to have so much talent, so much charisma, just a great heel that pops off the screen. Why is he in the back playing poker?
I have no idea. Poker in the front or sticker in the front, poker in the rear. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Legado del Fantasma takes on Brooke Jensen and Josh Briggs. That's BJ and JB. And the winner of the match is Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah. Good. Like I said, it's kind of hot and cold with them, but if we can see them consistently on TV and establish,
the little vignette we got from Mandy Rose and Raquel Gonzalez. That actually, you know what? That had me interested in the match.
No, and I am, and I think that this has been a good reset with Mandy Rose. I think she looks a lot more like a formidable competitor, and I mean by that I mean the way they're positioning her, and it's not. it's so much of her gimmick in the main roster was focused on it was the Mandy gimmick, and then you had the whole deal with Otis. I mean, she's presented here in NXT as a formidable competitor. Yeah, and I hope that she does take the title off of her next week. And I think this can eventually be a really solid reset for Mandy. And, hopefully one of those NXT success stories, like we saw with Balor, like we saw with Drew McIntyre. I think this could be another one of those possibilities where you really have somebody spend some time in NXT and come back to the main roster as an imposable threat.
All right, for the right to host Halloween Havoc, they would have done me a great service if they would have said that the host gets paid extra money. That would have made sense to me.
Yeah.
LA Knight versus Grayson Waller. This is LA Knight's show, and LA Knight wins with the BFT.
Yeah. I guess I'm hoping he wins the Rumble next year.
You think he's going to win the Rumble in January?
I don't think so, but I'm hoping he does.
Maybe 23. It ain't going to be in 22.
I just want some realization that they know what they've got with this guy.
They don't. They really don't.
And let me tell you something else too. You know who was absent, I believe, from any in-ring segment or any vignette last night?
He was probably on the moon.
He probably was on the moon, but how in the world do you run a 2-hour NXT show with no Sonic Cameron Grimes? Come on, man.
And there's talk that Cameron Grimes might be tweaked.
Oh, really?
Why? It works. Leave it alone.
Yeah. Oh,
main event time.
Not injured. You mean the character tweaked?
The character, yeah.
Goodness.
Main event time. Ciampa and Braun Breaker taking on the grizzled young veterans. This end was very predictable, and it was too slow to make any sense for me. The winners, Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa and Breaker staring at each other 1 week ahead of their NXT title match next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's very predictable. And what I would much rather see with WWE's road to Crown Jewel, and I know we talked about AEW comparisons earlier, but don't give me just a preview match where you're showcasing performers that are going to be in your upcoming pay-per-view that's already set. Give me somebody middle of the card that's not on the pay-per-view and give them a prominent spot. Your match has already been set. We're not in the pay-per-view era anymore. I don't know that you're necessarily going to get, not going to get any Peacock subscriptions off of this because it's a USA show. Right. I've never been a fan of this formula. And, we've gotten it. And honestly, the quicker pay-per-views are set, the more of this that you see. And I think it is much more flagrant now that you've got another company who's not doing it that way. So it just becomes more apparent when you see kind of this, okay, we're going to be in this kind of pause mode for 2 or 3 weeks.
Speaking of Braun Breaker, there's also a guest at next week's Halloween Havoc. It is his second appearance at Halloween Havoc. Charles, I forget his last name. What is Charles's last name? He was at the Halloween Havoc and he confronted Rick Steiner the first time.
Yeah, no, he's a wrestling veteran.
Yeah, Chucky. Chucky will be showing up to Halloween Havoc next week, and I asked this off air, and it's funny, but Braun Breaker's dad is Rick Steiner. Chucky's going to be at NXT next week. Rick Steiner had an issue with Chucky on a Nitro. Does Chucky interfere in the main event between Ciampa and Braun Breaker?
There's part of me that would be so disgusted by that. I think I might actually like it.
I was going to say it, and I didn't want to cut you off, but literally if Chucky causes Braun Breaker to win the match, folks, we will not be doing NXT reviews anymore. That's the end of that.
Well, here's the thing. It's one of those things. It's one of those things kind of like when Jon Stewart cost John Cena the match. My initial reaction is this is terrible. And then I think it kind of shifted, So I'd say if that's the case, just give it some time. Just reflect on it.
You want a Chucky run-in is what you want.
I'm not saying I do, but I don't know how I would feel about it.
All right, we are out of time. We were going to talk about Luna, but we will get to that in another broadcast. Matthew, Tomorrow morning, we will not have any Dynamite to talk about. However, what we will be talking about is Crown Jewel. We will run it down match by match, everything that's been announced. Again, Goldberg prepared for murder in a foreign country, so we'll see what happens there. So for Matthew,
what was his go away line? What was his go away line from the interview? Kill you Thursday.
Kill you Thursday. Yep. All right. So for Matthew Thomas on the Man They Call Media, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning talking Crown Jewel. So long, everyone.